See right there.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for listening. Welcome to the Great Journey podcast. We're here with Sensei Callahan. I am Caitlin Clary. We are going to be talking about one of the character traits that we practice in our school, integrity. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis, a wonderful author, if you have not heard of him before. He's the Chronicles of Narnia author. That's probably where you would have heard his name primarily, but he has great literature across the board. But this quote about integrity is one of my favorites. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And I think that's a really great way to explain it to little kids, especially.
Yeah.
Because that just makes sense to them.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows, the cookie jar is always available when nobody's watching. Are you going to be obedient when no one's watching? So we talk with our students about this here, and you mentioned integrity being wholeness of self, correct?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yeah, and that comes from the word integer in mathematics.
There you go, math.
Yeah.
Yes, not my favorite subject. Yeah.
So an integer is a whole number as opposed to a partial number.
Yes.
So it's not a fraction or a decimal point. And so the idea of integrity, to me, tying those two things together, was wholeness of self, meaning that your mind, your body, and your spirit were together as one. And one of the ways that I realized that we practice this, so just to backtrack, when I started when I was 20 years old, I was an angry young man, and I want to learn how to beat people up because I thought that I wanted people to respect me, and I thought that was how to do it.
Right.
I've learned that you have to have courtesy.
Yes, courtesy is important.
Did we just
listen
talk about
to our
that?
last podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I also realized that I had changed as a person, and I saw the motto in the school I was in at the time in Riverside, that said that the ultimate aim of the art of karate lies not in victory or defeat, but in the perfection of the character of the individual.
Okay.
And so I started to look into character. What is character? And I saw that Sensei Funakoshi talked about 5 major character traits: courage, courtesy, integrity, humility, and self-control.
Yes.
And there was integrity right in it. So integrity was one of the first character traits I started to study and look into. And then I asked myself, so if the ultimate aim of the art of karate was in the development of character, then how does that happen on the dojo floor?
Right.
How does that happen as we're practicing the art?
Yeah.
And what I came to realize was that if when you were practicing, if someone was punching at you, at your face, for example, and you were thinking about doing one particular type of block or one particular block, but then you tried to do another block, it wouldn't work. You
Right.
Defending yourself was something that you absolutely needed to be have integrity about.
Yeah.
You had to have your mind, your body, and your spirit. It all had to be working together. Otherwise, you were surely going to fail.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it was your survival instinct that pushed you in that direction of having integrity. Now, does everybody do that? No,
Right.
not everybody does it. Not everybody that practices the martial art, because very few people actually look into that character development aspect to
Right,
it.
which is so important here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned Funakoshi. I don't know how many of our listeners will know who that is. Do you want to give a little history lesson?
Yeah, good,
Okay.
good. Yes. So Gishin Funakoshi is considered to be the father of modern day karate.
Okay.
He was born about 1865, and he was a sickly child. He was born in Okinawa in the backwoods. So Okinawa was a third world country at the time. And as sick as he was, his parents expected that he wouldn't live very long, because that's what happened with kids when they were back in the 1860s.
Right.
If they were as sick as he was, they died.
Okay.
And
Do they know what he had?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't really know that.
Okay.
But in any case, he started to train in the martial arts.
Okay.
He started training karate, and he grew strong as a result of that.
Okay.
And he went on to live until he was 90 years old.
Okay.
But along the way, as he was growing into a young man, and he looked around and he saw other people that were suffering the same way that he did.
Okay.
And he had a dream. His dream was to see karate being practiced all around the world.
Yes.
And so
Which is happening.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So when he was about 50 years old, he moved from, and 50 years old was, I think the lifespan back in those days was
absolutely.
about 45 years old. So
Right.
he was already past his lifespan,
Yep.
his life expectancy.
Yep.
But anyway, he moved from Okinawa to
Mhm.
Japan, met influential people, formed an instructor training program, and then sent those instructors all around the world.
Wow.
And right now, at this time,
Mhm.
there is more than 100 million people practicing karate in 190 countries.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and the key there was his dream.
Yep.
And that was what was critical to him.
Yeah.
And so he wrote, he was the one that put these principles together. He was the one that developed the motto of that the ultimate aim of the art of karate lies not in victory or defeat, but in the perfection of the character of the individual.
Right.
So he was the one that kept talking about
The
character
character
development.
being part of the actual
Yes.
practice, the physical aspect of
Yeah.
it.
And it was the strength of his character that drew people to him, the refinement of his character. And that's what makes for the best leaders of strong character.
Yeah. What an incredible legacy that
It
he
is.
was able to leave behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that we talk about is saying what you mean and doing what you say.
Yep.
And that's all wrapped up into integrity as well. But we teach our students that as well. Even when they're answering you, you want not an I don't know or I'm not sure.
Yes.
It's a yes or no, right?
It's a yes
my
or no.
kids are very well aware of this.
There is no try. There
Right.
is just do or do not.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just to stay with our notes here.
Sure.
So that rolls into your reputation.
Right.
And if we start to develop our reputation at a very young age. We have kids that come into school and I ask them a question and they might be 7 or 8 years old. And if they tell me the truth and I find out that this is the truth, what they said, then I remember that.
Right.
And then sometime later, I ask them another question and they tell me the truth again. And then I ask them another question and they tell me the truth. Now I keep getting the truth from them over and over and over again.
Right.
So now I know that this person is trustworthy. And if I ask them something, they'll tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go to their parent to find out what the truth is.
Yep.
All I have to do is ask them.
Yeah.
And this is really important that the child become trustworthy at an early age. And
because lying is a slippery slope.
Lying
and
is a
you start
it is
getting into that mode.
Once you start to do that, then you can develop that reputation. It'll stay with you for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on the flip side of that, we've had students who have stolen, and we find that out, and then they lie, and it's just it's down. It's down for them.
And like you said, reputation is so important. It's the baseline for everything. And what's great about that and integrity and courtesy, like we were talking about earlier, is it doesn't matter where you come from, what side of the tracks you live on, doesn't matter how much money you have, your integrity is giving you a worth that is priceless, basically. And that would carry on with you for the rest of your life. And definitely in the success of even us as adults and children, especially as you go through school and then whatever they choose to do with their futures. It's fight and will and character that is going to matter more than all the other things, right? Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So really quickly, I always like to throw books in because I love reading, but The Boy Who Cried Wolf, Aesop's Fable, I'm sure many of you have heard about it, but maybe you just want to read it to your kids and kind of give them a little reintroduction to how one lie can lead to many lies. And then when you really do need help, people aren't going to believe you. Yeah. So anyway, you might want to look into that. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome,
thank
Caitlin.
you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time on the Great Journey Podcast. Have a good day.